All right, welcome. So this video is the comfort killer. All right, it's all about breaking out of your comfort zone. So this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to break out of your comfort zone and propel yourself into your desired life despite the discomfort you will face along the way. I will teach you exactly how to break out of this comfort zone, and I will give you all the tools to make it easier, right? So without further ado, let's get into it. I've let myself get comfortable. I stopped working out as hard. I stopped being strict on myself with my diet and my consistency at work. I started letting myself fall back into bad habits that would hinder my growth. And it was all because I felt like I was still improving. I've progressed so far that it didn't feel like these things were even harming me. But then a month passed, then 3, then 6, and I found myself almost right back where I had started my whole journey. What happened? I got comfortable. The results of my work had set in, so now I didn't feel as bad when I did the bad habits, and I could always do the work tomorrow since I've been finding it so easy. The thing is, even when you are doing well, you need to stay disciplined. You need to keep doing what actually got you there in the first place, if not taking it to the next level. Not regressing because you are satisfied with where you're at, right? You can't get satisfied with where you're at and allow yourself to regress. You need to keep moving forward, even if it feels as though you're getting some of the comfort. It's good to feel good about yourself and your success, but it's a problem when it becomes a reason to stop. If you stop progressing, you don't stay where you are, you regress. So what I had to do was get back on track, even though it had become harder to do so, even though I had lost progress and felt as though I had lost my edge. I will regain it by continuing to follow through on what got me here, discipline, and destroying this need for comfort. If you want to transform your daily routine and habits, or see more progress in your goals, get early access to the Academy of Self-Mastery by DMing me on Instagram at JadenAIS, or you can click the link in my description. If you guys want to progress on your self-improvement journey and take it to the next level, if you are somebody who takes your self-improvement seriously and wants good quality education on how to do so, or wants to work with me directly in order to implement it and reach the next level, you can go ahead and request early access in my DMs on Instagram, and I will get you sorted from there. The infamous comfort zone. Why the comfort zone leads to less progress. The reason why you will progress more slowly when you are in your comfort zone is simple. When you are comfortable, you are stagnant, and therefore it becomes harder to create more momentum. Movement is the basis of all life. All things are in a constant state of transferring and transforming energy, and this is also true when starting a business or trying to learn a new skill, as it requires movement or the transformation of energy. And you could think of it like this: applying effort or effort itself is the application of heat to a specific in a specific direction. So if you can understand energies and subtle forms of energy, you generate heat when you practice a skill or when you put in work, and that heat is then applied. The application of that heat to a specific problem or a specific challenge is what we call effort. When we get too comfortable and become stagnant, it becomes harder to convert energy into action, which is a complicated way of saying we face more resistance. We also get used to these states of ease and pleasure. Our brains love conserving energy, so we find a simple routine full of pleasure and become obsessed with maintaining it. We lose sight of any goals we had as we become totally engrossed in this new daily flow. Then, when we want to try and break free, we are faced with all of this resistance and pain, so we try to fight or numb our desire to change. But this almost always proves to be an ineffective strategy, as life will always find a way, and nature says that if you do not evolve, you will die. And so, we are painfully aware of this choice: step up and make the changes, or die slowly from the inside out. So the reason it becomes so hard to change is because we become so used to the routine that it becomes our default. But We can have that exact same familiarity with a routine of productivity if we are willing to undergo the process of change required to get there. Instant versus delayed gratification. Typically, we are seeking comfort from instant gratification, which is the very reason that comfort is so bad in the first place. We are numbing our pain with things that make it worse over the long term. So therefore, we are only going further down the rabbit hole of self-destruction. We are unable to face the pain and actually go about the process of change. Delayed gratification is the joy we experience from wins collected over a longer period of time, and is the solution to the comfort crisis. It rewards us later for our discomforts now. To break out of our comfort zone, we have to learn the difference between the two. Then, learn how to avoid the instant gratification and trade it for delayed gratification. So once you understand the difference, then it's a matter of deciding on delayed gratification over instant. Simple, but difficult. It will require a lot of effort, and you will experience a lot of discomfort in the process, but it will get easier over time. And eventually, you will find yourself craving the discomfort you once ran from. Like for me, funny enough, my phone just died halfway through this video. I got through like the intro, and then the phone died right before this last section. And perfect example, but I was crashing out, not really like crashing out, but I was bored out of my mind and just like itching because I wanted to record this video so bad, and I was in such a good flow, and then my phone died on me. And I was like, what the fuck? I want to finish it, but I just had to wait for my phone to charge. And so it's just an example of the same way you might be fiending for your addictions right now. Like, you will feel that same passion and desire towards the work once you actually make this change and make this shift. Getting into the rut. As you get into this comfortable routine, you will develop a craving for this comfort and level of pleasure. As that begins to happen, it will become increasingly more difficult to get back to any productive work. This is where it begins. You now have two choices. Push through the pain and make it back out the other side, hopefully with the desire to leave the drugs or distractions alone, as it has been shown to slow progress. Or you will fall back into comfort and seek that pleasure you once sought after. Meaning, when you get into this routine of comfort and then try to do something productive, you will face this resistance because your addicted brain wants to go back to the comfort. And for those who take their work seriously, this will be a sign to leave the drugs or stimulus alone, versus the person who takes the resistance as a reason not to try or to fall back into comfort. So for those who are serious on your path specifically, when you feel this type of resistance, you should understand that doing the thing that causes it is absolutely detrimental and bad and should 100% be eliminated. Versus somebody who takes that resistance as a reason to stop trying, right? That person obviously gives up. That person obviously doesn't reach any sort of meaningful success, as well as, that person stays stuck with the drug, with the thing that's causing more resistance. And so, a year down the line, it's going to be harder for them to start than it was previously, right? This is where the rut begins. For those who go back into comfort, they are now entering the cycle of despair. This cycle is what most call a rut, a desperate clinging to comfort and pleasure while disregarding anything of real importance. And the longer you stay here, the longer it will take to get back out. It's not like anyone enjoys this state, but the need for comfort keeps them there. So how comfort leads us to staying stuck. The issue with getting into this rut is that it becomes very hard to get back out. This comfort leads us to stagnancy due to the fact that it takes little effort to get the pleasure we seek, right? So with business, with money, it takes a lot of effort to receive that reward. With TikTok, it takes the click of a button to receive a similar reward. With drugs, it takes acquisition of the drugs, and beyond that, very little effort to actually get the high. And so we begin to lose the ability to apply effort when an immediate reward isn't present. This becomes a problem when we try to break out of this cycle, because the things that would get us out are now extremely difficult and painful. So the opposite is true for getting into this cycle. It's very tempting to do the things that get us stuck here. But when it comes to being stuck and trying to get back out, well, because of the things we've been doing and because of our dopamine insensitivity, because of these drugs and addictions, because we're comfortable, well, now it becomes much harder and more painful to actually do the work. And that work is exactly what would get us out of this situation, right? And it wasn't always this way. But because you've burnt out your dopamine receptors and gotten used to this stagnancy, things like exercise, work, reading, and meditation are now much more of a drag. The other part is that we seek to go back to that comfort once we begin trying to change our behavior. And so we have this constant pull back and forth between wanting to be more productive but craving the easier routine. It required a lot of attention and intention to maintain this level of effort, especially when we have this easy and comfortable activity calling to us. Meaning, if we go unconscious, it is very likely we slip back into our comfort zone. So you need to maintain clear and strong attention when trying to make these changes so that you can maintain the level of effort needed to push through the resistance and make these changes in your life permanently. The next section is breaking out of your comfort zone. The first thing that you need to do is realize what is keeping you stuck or what you are avoiding with this comfort. To begin breaking out of this comfortable state, you first need to identify what is keeping you stuck, why you are seeking out comfort in the first place, and why you are so attached to this. Once you have identified the reasons you are stuck in this state, you can use that insight to figure out how you might change that situation. Next thing is, before doing the big thing, do something less significant, but more within your skill level. The reason why you might find it so hard to break out is that you are thinking about and focusing on the big thing. But in reality, you aren't there yet. Otherwise, you'd already be doing it. So you might need to start off a little easier. Instead of starting that business, you might just need to make your bed. And for those stuck in their comfort zone and in the instant gratification loop, just turning off TikTok is a big step. And so look at where you are right now and work with that to move towards your real goals. You can't just skip over your current experience and end up at your end goal. You need to work within the present moment to create and build that future. So just look around or think to yourself for a minute and identify one small action you can take that will move you in a positive direction. One thing I'll give for anybody who can't think of something, which is to stop everything and go and get a piece of paper or a notebook or something and a pen or a pencil, whatever you use, and write down ideas you get while watching the rest of this video. So the rest of this video is just going to include practical steps. So try to create a list of actionable steps from this specific section and the next section. Actually, both of them are going to be practical, but from both of these two sections about breaking out of your comfort zone. So once you've done something small, taken some small action, and do this consistently as well. You have to do this over time. You can't just do one small action and expect to be cured. One small action will be a step in the right direction, but that doesn't mean you can make the leap yet, right? It's going to take these small steps repeatedly over time, right? So turning off TikTok, for example, will work for maybe like an hour or two, but then you'll probably find yourself back on TikTok. And so now is time where you practice the next repetition of getting off TikTok and spending some of that time doing something else instead, right? And if you practice this over time, eventually you will start to reach a place where you can take the next steps. And that is what this is. Next step, once you've gotten to that place, is address the big thing. Once you've built up some momentum and confidence, you can begin looking to the big thing. Whether that's a business, big lifestyle change, or getting in shape, now is the time to start addressing how to make that happen. Identify what steps you can start to take, then take action from there. Just start with the small steps and then keep building up after that, right? Now that you've begun getting into motion by doing something a little easier, you can now apply that momentum by starting to work on the big thing. The big thing being whatever it is that you've been thinking about wanting to go after. So while watching this video, you've probably had something in the back of your mind that you are referencing when I talk about being successful and going and achieving your goals. That thing is your big thing. That is what you have to work on, but not until you've built up some momentum in a positive direction, and then you can start to address that. So whatever that is for you, whatever that goal is, that is your highest priority task. And so if you can't do that, then your highest priority task is to break the cycle of addiction to TikTok and social media and anything else that's holding you back so that you can focus on it. That is now your highest priority task, is getting to the point where you can focus on your highest priority task. And the true highest priority task is the goal that you have, the thing that you want to achieve, the big thing, right? And because of where we're starting, we don't want to jump right into it, as we will revert back into comfort harder than before. If we try to take on 100% this full lifestyle right from the rut, it's very likely that this discomfort will just slingshot us, catapult us back into the rut, right? And so we want to start easier, right? We want to create a plan. We want to create a process, right? So you want to break out of that state, then work your way into productivity again. And if you're already more productive, but still find yourself a little too comfortable, then it's the same process, but applied differently. You may have something you want to work more on, but are procrastinating. And since you're productive otherwise, you can start there. But just break it down into small enough tasks that you can handle it now, and then work your way up from there. The next thing is to do something difficult every single day. The next method I have for you to break out of your comfort zone and begin moving in the right direction is to ensure that you do something difficult every day. It can be something as simple as picking up your room, or as difficult and challenging as adding an extra couple of hours of deep work to your normal work blocks, right? Whatever you pick, it just needs to be difficult or challenging in some capacity. This will condition you to no longer avoid tasks that you don't like, and so therefore you are more likely to do hard things that really matter when it inevitably gets difficult. Like the business, for example, one reason you fall off is just because it's difficult to do, and you're not used to doing things that are uncomfortable. Plus, this will help develop discipline and force you out of your comfort zone. You're used to only doing things that you are used to or comfortable with, but that is exactly why you aren't growing. You need to challenge yourself and push your limits if you want to improve. And so doing something difficult each day will force you to identify what you are avoiding, then take action on that. And if you practice and develop it into a habit, it will reflect in your work and productivity each and every day, right? Goals and the pain required to get them. Goals are necessary. Everybody needs to have a goal in life. It's a given. Everybody needs them, right? Everybody needs something. If you're not working towards something and you're not growing, you're dying, right? Otherwise, there is really no reason to live. And some of you may not understand this, but some of you will understand what I'm saying here. You need to have something to work towards, otherwise you will suffer. But whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, it will require sacrifice. That sacrifice being your comfort. You can't stay exactly the way you are if you want to achieve something new. So you'll need to be willing to go through the pain of giving up what is comfortable to have what is preferable. If you want to become great, you'll need to go through pain and suffering and hardship if you want to grow and progress to the level that you're trying to, right? Anybody can grow and progress with minimal effort, but if you want to become great, that requires immense sacrifice, that it requires immense amounts of growth and progression and productivity, and all of these things will require the sacrifice of comfort, doing what is comfortable. So you need to understand the importance of giving up these vices, giving up the comfort, and committing solely to this path of self-improvement. To achieve your goals and become someone new, you must give up who you currently are. This section is tips for breaking out of your comfort zone. The first tip I have for breaking out of your comfort zone is cold showers. Utilizing cold showers can make a massive impact on your discipline and productivity. First of all, they're difficult for most people, and at the very least uncomfortable, right? So they are very difficult for a lot of people, and for some people they seem to be easier. I feel like I'm one of these people. I don't know exactly why, but I don't mind the cold as much. In fact, I prefer the cold over the heat. I like being warm, I like being comfortable, but if I had to choose, I like the cold, and I think that's part of snowboarding. I think I've just conditioned myself to love the cold because that's like once the winter hits, once it starts snowing, that's my time. But at the same time, I notice I just have a better tolerance for cold. So cold is a little bit easier for me, but at the same time, it's still uncomfortable, right? So if it's not like actually challenging, it will at least be somewhat uncomfortable. And the point of the cold showers is the stimulus itself of the cold water, the cold exposure, not so much how much discipline it forces you to use. So it forces you to do something that you don't want to do, but it also rewards you for it. You will receive a massive dopamine boost from them, leaving you more focused. These can help us get out of a negative state, or when you're just feeling stuck and need a kick in the right direction. So if I'm ever stuck in the day or I find myself stagnant, I will just take a cold shower, and that'll give me a kickstart and a boost and a kick in the right direction in order to get me moving again. The gym. The next thing I have is the gym. The gym is the perfect place to get out of your comfort zone and practice discipline. It is fun for the most part and pretty easy for most people, as long as you are working at your level. If you go to the gym expecting to do a full-blown workout when you haven't worked out in a year or two, that is why it is so difficult. That's why it's so uncomfortable. That's why you hate it so much. If you just work out at your level and just push beyond your level, like actually just push beyond your real edge and kind of push that comfort zone just slightly, but stay right within that zone where it is comfortable, but just beyond comfortable, right? So this is my comfortable state. This is where I want to be working at, right? So if you are working at your level, it is very, very enjoyable, very fun, and pretty easy, right? But it triggers a chain reaction of positive feedback and productivity. Usually I feel more energized and motivated to do the work after the gym, which carries into the rest of my day. And that's why it can break you out of that comfort zone, and it can just help you to get it back into a productive state if you've been out of one for a while. Once you break the loop of comfort, it becomes much easier to keep that going. Next thing I have is finding a new hobby or starting a new sport. For anyone who has been in the same routine for ages or just doesn't have many different hobbies, this one will be good for you. Most people just do the same comfortable activities day in and day out. Plus, these days, it's usually drinking, drugs, or doom scrolling. So to these people, I say the best way to break out of your comfort zone would be to pick a new hobby. Or pick up a new hobby, rather. Sorry about that. Try an instrument if that's your thing. Learn to draw. Pick up a book on a new topic, or just in general, if you don't read already, pick up a book, period, right? But if you already read, you can go and pick up a book on a different topic, something new, right? And that can kind of spark some new creativity within you, some motivation within you, and that might help to get you moving again as well. Starting a new sport can also be a really good option. Look for recreational teams or find solo activities that you might enjoy, like biking, running, swimming, or my recommendation, something like snowboarding or skateboarding. I love these sports just because anybody can pick them up, anybody can learn how to do them. Maybe not so much snowboarding, but skateboarding, anybody can start skateboarding, really. Snowboarding, it might take a little bit of learning and a little bit of effort to work up to there, but if you get like lessons or something, you can learn very quickly, or if you just expose yourself. But skateboarding, literally anybody could go and buy a skateboard today and start riding around on a skateboard. But the point is to just get yourself moving, find activities that you can find to be fun and enjoyable, but that will also be more productive and actually get you moving, get you active, get you exercising versus scrolling, doing drugs, just like wasting your time as opposed to utilizing it to not create something of true value, but just get yourself moving, get yourself active, and just be more productive in general, right? Because these are the types of things that just make you a more whole human being. These are the types of things that just enrich you, right? They enrich your soul, they enrich your being, they enrich your mind with new ideas, new thoughts, new perspectives. And so like picking up different hobbies, picking up different sports, it expands your awareness about different things, and therefore it can break you out of this comfort zone because it forces you to do something different from what you're used to. And it also just expands your personality, expands you as a person. And so therefore you have the ability to then reach out and branch out into new things beyond that. But picking up a new hobby will not only break you out of your comfort zone, but just bring more energy into your life, as I was just saying. You'll be improving as a person. And so, just like with the gym, you'll want to continue that momentum. Don't overcomplicate this, just pick something and go with it. And then if it doesn't work out, that's great, that's fine. Just try the next thing, all right? It's actually better that you try something and it isn't the thing you wanted to do than to not try it. Even whether it was the thing you wanted to do or not trying it leaves a question open in your mind. So once you try it, it's like that's the small step in the right direction. And okay, I didn't like it, but now I'm gonna go try the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Versus if you don't try it at all, you probably won't end up discovering that you didn't like this thing, and therefore you won't end up trying the next thing or the next thing, right? So you just want to go for it, and if it doesn't work out, if it's not what you actually wanted to do, that's fine, that's great. Like, at least you're trying new things, at least you're doing new things, at least you're not just following the same pattern day in and day out. And this will also help you to learn yourself better, and so you'll understand more of what you'd like to do, giving you alternatives to mindless entertainment. See, this is just mainly to give you an idea of what you actually want to be doing with your time. And once you learn yourself better, once you understand what you like, then it's easy to fill your time with things other than just mindless entertainment. So the next section is learning to meet new people. This one is for those who don't talk to anyone and just stay in their little instant gratification bubble all the time. The best way for these people to break out of their comfort zone is to start talking to new people. Learning social skills is crucial if you want to be successful. Everything in life involves people. And even if you could get success by yourself, what's the point when there's no one there to share it with? Networking and learning how to work with people is the most effective way to get success, so learning social skills is absolutely a worthwhile goal. And it is an amazing way to break out of your comfort zone if you've been stuck on it for a while. If you've been lonely, if you've been kind of isolating yourself for a little while, this is probably the perfect point for you to start working your way out of that comfort zone. Especially if you're someone who's active already, if you're someone who may have a business already, but you just don't like talk to anybody and you're just all by yourself, this can be a way to break out of your comfort zone. For the last 2 years, I've been working on my communication skills with other people, and it has paid off in innumerable ways, right? Just my ability to communicate with people has led me to have opportunities that I just wouldn't have otherwise. Just a small example I can give is I had a surf lesson a couple of months ago. I think back in like end of April, I went to Myrtle Beach, just did some surfing out there, and there's not great surf out there, but you know, there's some lessons out there that I was able to participate in. And during that lesson, my instructor was a professional rider who is currently in his 30s. But it was interesting because I got to talk to him, I got to meet the guy and get to know him. And just because of my energy as far as communication and social skills goes, we were able to just have very just connected conversation, I guess you could say. We were focusing on the lesson and he was teaching me, but at the same time, we were just able to talk and able to get to know each other. And what ended up happening is he invited me to go on some trips with him next year because he knows that I snowboard. So this is a professional surfer who has sponsors, who has access to all these things. And he basically said he's able to go anywhere in the world anytime he really wants to. And so he invited me to go on a trip, basically go snowboarding somewhere. Basically, I get to pick, we go wherever. And, like I'll take myself out there, and he said he'd be able to just join me wherever, anytime. And so like this is an opportunity where I get to meet people who have access to the professional world of extreme sports. I get to know people who are at a level similar to where I'm trying to go. And so that gives me access to the world that I'm trying to enter. And the only reason that I feel that that was the case is because of my social skills. If I was less social, if I was more closed off, we might not have clicked. And that's a very like basic thing. Obviously, if I was more closed off and suppressed in myself, like I wouldn't have been able to click with this person. I wouldn't have been able to create that opportunity and make potentially a good friend, but also a very valuable friend in that case. And so this is what networking is. It's getting to know people who have access points to things you might want in the future, as well as just having the skills to make people feel like good around you. You want people to feel comfortable around you. You want people to feel like they can talk to you. Otherwise, you will be a very lonely person for the rest of your life. And so another way that I could another way that I could explain this is one of the things that I do on the side is I basically it's for real estate. I go to properties and I basically get imagery of the entire property, the entire place. And oftentimes it's somebody's home, somebody like lives there. So I have to basically work with that person to do what I have to do at their house. But what's happened is over the last year that I've been doing this is I've gotten to have some really interesting conversations with some really interesting people just because of the fact that they feel that they can talk to me, right? People feel that they can tell me pretty much anything, and they do. And I'm very receptive to it. I'm very good at carrying a conversation. I'm very good at keeping the energy high and positive. And so I found that it's just a very consistent thing, a very consistent trend that I've just been able to connect with a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, and that has opened up opportunities for me that I never could have had before. So the last thing I have is probably the most important, and that's to just go on a walk. If you are really stuck in your comfort zone and it's really difficult for you to like break out and actually start moving in a different direction or start working towards the things that matter to you, literally just get outside and go on a walk, man. All right? Get outside, get moving. If you're stuck in a rut or you've been in your comfort zone for a while, you just need to get up and get moving. You just need to get active. The best way to do that is to just go outside and go on a simple walk. Anybody can do it. Most people can do it. You can't give me many excuses unless you're paraplegic, or like you have a bad injury a bad leg injury. All right. But other than if you have some type of injury or, you are just disabled and cannot walk, in which case I would tell you to just get active in different ways, right? If you can push yourself in a wheelchair, I would tell you to do that and just like do laps around your house or something, right? Whatever it is that you have to do to get moving, just get moving, right? Just get active. And the best way to do that is to go outside and go on a walk. It doesn't have to be long, no need to make it difficult, but just get outside, get your body moving, and get your blood flowing. I'm really sorry if you can hear that in the background, by the way. I don't know what they're doing. I think they're drilling something. I think they're fixing something right outside my room. It's fine. I really hope you can't hear it, and if you can, I hope it's not distracting. But this can also serve as some good time to reflect and think on what you might like to go and achieve in life, giving you something you might be able to start working on when you get home, right? So think and reflect on what you might want to move towards, and then when you get back home, now you can sit down and actually start to make a plan and start to work in that direction, instead of just falling back into your mindless routine. So that is all I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. And if it was, you can go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you learned. And if you did enjoy it, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe to me. And we do 3 uploads a week. So if you are enjoying this type of content and you want to stay tuned for whatever is next, there you go. You can press that subscribe button. And for those of you serious on self-improvement who want to be the best at what you do, go ahead and click the link in the description to go to my Instagram and send me a quick DM over there, just letting me know, hey man, I want early access to the program, and I'll get you sorted from there. But that is all I have for this video, and I'm out of here. Peace.